Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I am going to be making another video for you, and this one is all about how to solve absolute value equations. So if you are excited about working together on math in this video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up down below or comment on what your favorite topic is in math, or if you just feel like sharing some love, you can be sure to give it a thumbs up. So anyway, let's get started. Okay, back to reality. That's enough of my pretend YouTuber thing. But I think I need to work on an intro, a better intro for my videos. So for real, if you have any suggestions on a good intro for my videos, let me know. Anyway, we are going to work on how to solve this equation here. We have the absolute value of 2x plus 8 equals 18. So absolute value equations are very similar to two-step equations, but they're just a little bit different because we have this absolute value symbol in here that we need to account for. So what we are going to do is we need to think about two different scenarios. So the first scenario would be that on the inside here, it equals positive 18. If I have the absolute value of positive 18, that equals 18. So basically what we are saying here, if I erase this, then I'm going to copy this. If this part here on the inside equals 18, so the absolute value of 18, we said equals 18. And that is one situation I need to think about, what x would be if that were the case. So if this is the case, I'm just going to solve this equation just like a basic two-step equation. So I have a constant over here by itself, meaning this is going to be my constant side. So I need to cancel out any constants on the other side of the equal sign. So I have plus 8, so I do minus 8. Plus 8 minus 8, that cancels. I'm left with 2x on the left side equals 18 minus 8 is 10. So then I need to cancel out the 2, so I'm left with only the x. So I divide by 2, that cancels. I'm left with x equals 10 divided by 2 is 5. So if x equals 5, I can show you how if x equals 5, so I'm going to put it back into my original equation. So instead of 2 times x, I wrote 2 times 5 plus 8. The absolute value of that equals 18. Now I'll just go through and simplify this. And then we have 10 plus 8 is 18. And the absolute value of 18, that's 18. So we know that x equals 5 is the correct answer. However, when we are working with absolute value, if we put a positive or a negative number inside of the absolute value symbols, it equals a positive number in the end. So earlier when I was talking about the two scenarios, that's what I'm describing. So we said how if this on the inside equals 18, absolute value of 18 is positive 18, but also on the inside of the absolute value symbols, if I had negative 18, the absolute value of negative 18 also equals positive 18. So we have two scenarios that if we have them on the inside of the absolute value symbols, it will equal the same number. Both the absolute value of negative 18 and positive 18 equal an answer of positive 18, the same answer. So once again, I'm going to erase that. And if I have this part on the inside of the absolute value symbols, if this equals negative 18, so if on the inside of the absolute value symbols It equals negative 18 of all of this together equals negative 18. Absolute value of that is also this answer of 18. So I have another scenario that I need to account for. So now I have another two-step equation that I can solve. So once again, I start off with minus 8 on both sides of the equal sign, plus 8, minus 8, cancel. I'm left with positive 2x equals, then on the right side, I have negative 18 minus 8. So I can change this to an addition problem by doing plus negative. Negative 18 plus negative 8 would be negative 26. So then I cancel out the 2 by dividing by 2. I'm left with x equals negative divided by positive, negative. 26 divided by 2, 13. So x could also equal negative 13. And we don't choose which one of these is correct. They are both correct. So we already saw how when I have my x equals 5, I put in 5 for x. In the end, it equals 18. Now I'm going to show you how if I put negative 13 in for x, it also equals an answer of positive 18. So I'll rewrite my equation, absolute value of 2 times, instead of x, I'll put negative 13 plus 8 equals 18. So 2 times negative 13, negative 26, plus 8, negative 18, negative 26 plus 8. I would have, if I added them up and canceled out my negatives and positives, I have negatives left over, and I would specifically have 18 negatives left over. Absolute value of negative 18 is 18. So then 18 equals 18. That one also works. So notice how we have 2 answers for x. And that's okay, because we have 2 situations where it will equal positive 18 in the end. Both if on the inside this equals positive 18, and if on the inside this equals negative 18. Both scenarios get the same answer in the end, so I need to have 2 answers for what x could equal. So now I want to give you a chance to try this out. So here's another problem. We have the absolute value of 5x minus 4 equals 11. So take a second and pause the video to solve this, remembering that there's 2 situations we have to account for, both if on the inside this equals positive or negative. So take a second, solve it in a similar way to I did. When you have your answers, then play the video again to check your work. So these are the 2 answers that you should have gotten. X equals 3 and x equals negative 1 2/5, or you could have had x equals negative 7/5, or x equals negative 1 4/10. So you won't always get a whole number answer. It's okay if it's a fraction. It still works. It's still a number. So it's okay. Some of you get a little nervous if you have a fraction answer, but you can get fraction answers. The important point here is that you have 2 answers for what x equals, both when it's positive on the inside and when it's negative on the inside. So make sure that you had these 2 options. Now we have another example of an equation. This one is the absolute value of 3x plus 5 equals negative 25. So in situations like this, if we were to go through and actually solve this equation to see what x equals, so let's say I start off with one example here. So minus 5, plus 5, minus 5 cancel. 3x equals negative 30. Divide by 3, x equals negative 10. Okay, now we go back and check to see if this works. 3 times negative 10 plus 5, absolute value, equals negative 25. Negative 30 plus 5, absolute value, negative 25. Absolute value of negative 25 equals negative 25. So if I take the absolute value of negative 25, that would get me positive 25. And positive 25 does not equal negative 25. So this is actually not a correct answer right here. And the reason why is because if we take the absolute value of something, it always equals a positive number. No matter what is on the inside of the absolute value symbols, if you're taking the absolute value, it's always going to be positive. So if you have absolute value equals a negative number, that's not possible, because just like I showed you here, if you go through all the work, you're going to get a positive number answer in the end. It's never going to be negative. So if you see an equation and its absolute value and it equals a negative number, you know that it's not possible. So then all you have to do is write no solution. And that's all there is to it, because there is nothing that x can be that will ever, when you take the absolute value of this side here, it will never equal negative, so there's no solution for x. Okay, if you want a little bit more practice, here are 2 more examples for you to try, thinking about what I went over earlier in the video and what we practiced together. So give these a try if you want a little extra practice. So you can pause the video, then play it again and check your work, and I'll show you how we solve this problem. Okay, so here's what your work should have looked like for these 2 problems. So the first one, we take this inside of the absolute value, 2x plus 4, we make it equal to 22. Then we solve and get that x equals 9. And then I double checked my work by substituting 9 for x in the equation. And I went through and solved, and yep, 22 equals 22, so I know that one is correct. But then I also know if I have a negative number inside the absolute value symbols, it will also equal positive. So I made the inside part also equal negative 22. I went through and solved and got x equals negative 13. I substituted negative 13 for x into my equation, went through and solved. Absolute value of negative 22 equals 22 as well, so that one I knew was also correct. So make sure you have both of these answers. Then down here, I noticed that the absolute value, it said it was equal to a negative number, and I know it's not possible for this absolute value to equal a negative number, so that would be no solution. So that is how we solve equations that have absolute value in them. I really hope you understand this a little better. If not, be sure to ask me questions. I'm more than happy to help you out. And of course, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe, because I'm sure you'll like the other videos that I post as well. But anyway, I guess I'll see you guys later. Bye.